Hello, people from around the universe. I am your host, the Italian Ace, and with the Chess World Championship currently going on, there is one question on everybody's mind. What if Pokemon were chess pieces? Yes, after years, if not decades, if not millennia of people wondering, as Pokemon and chess have clearly been around for that long, this one singular query has remained unanswered. That is, until this very moment. And so, join me in this journey to figure out what Pokemon would make up the best possible combination of chess pieces. There are 3 guidelines to go over, as otherwise it would turn into even more nonsense than it already is, and those are 1. The Pokemon have to make some sense in that chess position. 2. I try to have them have either white or black respectively in their color scheme somewhere, and yes, that did require them to be shiny in some cases. And 3. I am not using Pawn Bishop or King Gambit because, come on, what's the fun in that? And with all of that out of the way, it is time to jump into this very, very serious topic. But of course, before we do that, cue my intro. Okay, here we go, and really quickly, I will actually put a timestamp here so you can skip this part if you don't care. I just want to say why I've been gone for the past month and a half, and well, it's just been really crazy busy, if I'm being honest. However, it's been crazy busy with awesome stuff, so it's been really good, and I'm not gonna bore you with all the details behind that. Still, I just wanted to put it out there because, you know, I have just kind of disappeared off the face of the earth, you know? So I figured I would address it somewhere. And apparently I've been gone for so long that I'm not even using the correct tense, as I should have said I did kind of disappear, not I have kind of disappeared. But what can you do? This is just part of today's wackiness, I guess. And now it is finally time to jump into this incredible topic. And we are going to go from the outside of the board in, because I make up the rules, and so the pawns and the king will be the last to be discussed on both sides, as I also think those are the 2 most fun entries. Anyway, as the white rook/rooks, we have the one and only Quaquaval. Now, why Quaquaval? Well, for one, there is white here, so that fits that part of the criteria. But for 2, I am trying to again have these Pokemon make some chess sense. And so the Rooks are usually really strong in the endgame and need a bit of time, a bit of setup to really get going, you know? And, well, that kind of describes Quaquaval perfectly, because if you can set up Quaquaval with Moxie, and then it has Aqua Step, and just all of this craziness, it's just broken. But if you can't, it's not. And this brings us very nicely to the other Gen 9 entry on this list, and also my other favorite Gen 9 Pokemon. Very weird how these 2 are mirroring each other and everything. That being Palafin. And of course, this is going to be shiny Palafin because there is no black on Palafin's normal color scheme. Anyway, as you can see here, I am also taking Palafin in his hero form, not the zero form, and the main reason for that is, again, it's a rook, right? So it takes some time to set up. If you want, you can pretend it's in its zero form at the beginning of the game and only goes into its hero form when there's an open file or something like that. But I am not going to go into all of that detail, also because then there is no black in the normal Palafin zero form, so that's just another headache that I don't need to deal with. Moving on to the knights, and these are the pieces that create all sorts of havoc on the chessboard, and especially if you are not an amazing player, which is definitely the category I fall into because I blunder pieces left, right, and center. We have to come up with some Pokemon that match that energy. And while these 2 definitely have that, they're also just the perfect choice for the white and black knights, because they're black and white horses. I am of course talking about Glastrier and Spectrier. Now, I think if I had to pick which one of them fits the Knight playstyle the most, it would probably be Glastrier because it's a slow Pokemon, and Knights are notoriously slow to move around the chessboard, and B, well, I mean, it just feels like with Trick Room and all the other gimmicks, it has more of that Knight vibe, if you've ever played chess. But, I mean, I can't not have Spectrier on the other side. Come on, it would make no sense. I hope you guys agree with me here, and if you don't, you're wrong. And now we have the Bishops, which usually come out pretty early in the game, and try to help you with getting good positions, and just generally poke and prod until they either give you an advantage or get lost in a tragic blunder, which is what usually happens to mine. Regardless, on the white side, we have Rillaboom. Yeah, Rillaboom. Remember what I said about there being either white or black on these two? Yeah. Couldn't come up with that. So actually, even though I really didn't want to have two spots being occupied by the same Pokemon, as in on the two different sides, I'm gonna make an exception here, and I'm gonna have Incineroar be on both sides, and it's gonna be Shining Incineroar on the white side and normal Incineroar on the black side. And the reason he's here is the same reason Rillaboom would have made it, that being it's just a great support Pokemon, which is basically the Bishop's main role. You know, the Bishop will support your Queen, the Bishop will support your position, the Bishop will randomly get taken out as you are not even expecting it to be targeted. It fits very well. Again, I really wish I didn't have to have Incineroar on both sides, but when I think of these fake out, bulky, kind of hard-hitting Pokemon, because Bishops do pack a punch, and that if they control the diagonal, they're very strong. Those two were the only ones that fit the bill perfectly, but Rillaboom just doesn't have any white, you know, like I can't even squint and be like, oh yeah, like this was kind of, no, there's just nothing there. If anything, we could put him on the black side and have the brown be just like, you know how sometimes we call them the black pieces, but sometimes they're brown in color. So if you want that, that's up to you. I will leave it to your discretion. And finally, we are at the most powerful piece on the board, the Queen. The piece that every single person hopes to deliver checkmate with, and at the same time will inevitably lose in the most hilarious of fashion. To occupy such a prestigious position, we need Pokemon that are flexible, that are very good on the offensive, and that are frail enough that they would justify being taken out by a pawn, as I have seen happen multiple times, whether on my end or on my opponent's end, during something like a bullet game. And nothing fits that bill quite as well as Greninja and Cinderace, two frail, fast, flexible, because of Protean and Libero Pokemon, that are just tailor-made for this incredibly important chess position. Of course, Cinderace will be on the white side, and Shiny Greninja will be on the black side. And I think these two are going to be the absolute stars of the show because, well, Greninja is one of the most popular Pokemon ever, Cinderace is my favorite Pokemon, and Protean and Libero should not have been nerfed. That has nothing to do with anything, but I just had to put it out there. Like, why? Why, Game Freak? Like, I don't understand. Why? It just doesn't make any sense. I mean, it's just, come on, Game. Sorry, I lost my cool for a second. Let's just get back to the chess Pokemon hybrid abomination I'm creating, and go to the final two entries for both sides. And here we are with the king and the pawns, and in my mind, I had to come up with some funny dynamic to put here because pawns very often are just sent into the heat of battle knowing full well that you're gonna sacrifice most of them to get even an inkling of an advantage. And the king, meanwhile, is just sitting back and being like, yep, go ahead and do that. I'll just watch from here. And so I needed that kind of dynamic to be captured, and I actually am very proud with my 2 entries for this one. So if you watch any part of this video, I really hope it's this one right here. And now for the big reveal. And on the white side, we are going to have Tatsugiri and Dondonzo. Yes. Can you name a better duo that fully incorporates this very messed up dynamic? I don't think so. I mean, literally, Tatsugiri just jumps into the mouth of Dondonzo, being fully protected, and is like, yeah, you go ahead and attack. I'm just gonna chill. You just follow my orders. Don't worry about it. I think it's perfect. And I also think it's hilarious that we're gonna have the king be the smallest piece on the board, and then the pawns be the biggest piece on the board. Like, I just think that's kind of perfect, you know? It's not gonna be like this on the other side, but I don't know. To me, that's just really quite funny. And I'm probably the only one who finds it funny. But it's my list, so I mean, that's all that matters, right? And who's going to be competing with this dynamic duo on the black side? Well, I am glad you asked. Here, we are going to have the king be a woman, which I guess would make her another queen. Doesn't really matter because it's 2023, and who are you to tell Salazzo, because that's who we have, to not be a king, huh? Seriously, I'm not gonna tell her. She's gonna like poison me, burn me, or both, and I do not care for any of those options. You know who does care for that if it means that she's gonna look their way? All of the Salandits. Yes, that's right. The Salandits that have been described as being completely in awe of the female Salazzo, and you know, just being ready to follow every single one of her orders, make for quite literally the perfect pawns. And again, is this a messed up dynamic? You bet it is. Is it perfect for the chessboard? You bet it is. When you really think about it, chess is kind of weird, right? Like, the king is just commanding everyone, sitting back, and literally there are hierarchies of pieces, and based on how strong they are more likely to be saved than the other ones, even though they're technically representing people on the battlefield. I mean, I guess it's not too different from real life politics, though. And that is it for this incredibly serious, very needed, and not at all silly video. I hope you enjoyed it. I had a blast recording this in case it wasn't obvious. And please do let me know what you think of my chessboard, which I will showcase once again on screen right now. If you have any ideas for how you would make your own Pokemon chessboard, I'm all ears. I'm very interested in, you know, finding out what everyone thinks about this. And if you have never thought about this topic because you're a normal person, you can do it now. Regardless, I hope you have a great rest of your day. If you did enjoy this, then please do leave it a like, as that helps out the video and the channel, because YouTube likes that, I don't know. And yeah, I hope to see you all in the next one. And until then, remember to follow the way of the ace. See ya!